Coming up on this Friday's Female Fragrance. It's a fragrance that launched in 2007, commonly found at Macy's, Sephora's, or the bargain bin at Marshall's, TJ Maxx, or Burlington. To find out what fragrance we're talking about, stay tuned. Intro. So welcome back after that short intro. I'm Paige and this is Paige's Styles. And once again for this Friday's Female Fragrance, launched in 2007, we're going to talk about Coach Signature Femme or Pour Femme. If this camera ever kicks in. Okay, that has kicked it now. So, with this being the flagship, I believe, flagship fragrance for the House of Coach, who generally, or I believe originally came to be as a leather goods company. But they have, extended their forays out into fragrance and clothing, footwear, purses. Always purses, but footwear and things of that nature. So, we're going to get into what I like to do, and that is discover and discuss this fragrance, and be it for the fact that it originally released in 2007. See if it's still, worthy to wear today, or is it dated? If you ever watched this this part of the series before, I don't really go into the notes. I'm only going to present to you the notes that is presented to me. If you really want the notes, you can go on Fragrantica or base notes or anything like that. This was my scent of the day, but it is now pretty much a skin scent. I did first apply it around 8:38 this morning. So for it to even still be lasting as a skin scent, that's impressive in itself. But we'll get back to the performance after a while. I'm going to give me an initial blast once again to remind myself of it and show y'all the atomizer at the same time. So atomizer is crazy. I'm not sure if y'all can see this, but the hand is dripping wet. Now, upon initial blast, you're going to get like this. When I say water note, I'm going to say, an aquatic note. Definitely some white florals. So I'm guessing that would be like lily and jasmine in this. Definitely highly, floral. And then there's also underlying petroleum. I thought it was the alcohol burning off at first, but it more so smelled like gasoline or petroleum, which I'm going to attribute to the violet note that's in here. Overall, from initial blast, I'm gonna give it like a 6.5, because it seemed like it's a lot of different notes, battling for that top spot. But overall, especially once that petroleum note dies down, it's going to definitely remain, kind of aqueous, I should say. I hope that's a word, aqueous. Definitely white floral. Now, there's a very tiny underlying sweetness in this, which I'm not sure what's attributing to that at all. But it's stopping it from going totally old womanish, or totally, it's pretty much old womanish. Now, I understand it's supposed to be two different citrus notes in here. The citrus is definitely I'm not going to say a non-factor because I can detect it, but it's not like jumping out at me. It's not a bright citrus. It's not a fresh citrus. It's not one of those juicy, vibrant citruses at all. This is just I'm guessing a citrus to give it a little lift, knowing that, once again, combined with the lily pad or whatever the hell, because this is, once again, it is an aquatic, but it's not totally aquatic, just due to the heavy floral nuances in this fragrance. Now, as the aquatic tone or notes die down, You're still going to get, you know, the lily. You're still going to get, you know, jasmine. And it seems like there's another floral in here that I don't know. Or fruit, because it reminds me of like honeysuckle or like a pear. I know a pear note is, you know, not a natural note, but it reminds me of honeysuckle or pear. And maybe that's what's attributing to the underlying sweetness. All in all, I do believe it's a pleasant release from Coach, especially if this was their first fragrance, you know, released, you know, especially with the flagship name Coach Signature. It's not bad. I'm not sure how it was in 2007, if it was highly sought after or not. I do know nowadays I don't hear too many people talking about it. And also partly due to the fact that Coach has released a plethora of other fragrances. Coach Dreams, the Floral Edition, Coach Dreams, whatever other edition, other floral Coach fragrances. So I believe this one have, you know, found its way to the back end of most people's minds. You know, most people is not checking for this. However, I did see it in the bargain bin at Marshall's at Christmas time, so I decided to grab it, and I knew I was going to be, you know, wanting to test it out. The smell. Now, the smell, once again, the more it dries down, the more pleasant it becomes. Is it the most natural smelling, you know, perfume I have? No. Is it the worst? Far from it. But it does remind me of something. It definitely reminds me of something, and I'm going to grab it right now. You can say, well, since I believe the Coach Signature came out before this, you could say this is a higher end designer version of this floral concoction by Coach Signature, and that would be from the House of Chanel, and it is, if it comes in, Gardenia right here. This right here, it kind of reminds me of that, and I do want to just put it on my other hand and do a comparison. Now, I believe this is a eau de parfum as well. Now, see, if the beginning was a lot more vibrant and bright for the Coach, I believe this Gardenia is what Coach Signature was supposed to do. But for anybody not trying to spend $200 or $220 for a bottle of Chanel Gardenia, I definitely believe the Coach Signature Femme would suffice. Yes, this, I mean, obviously, you know, it's a Chanel's, you know, it's going to have, you know, that Chanel aid with the aldehydes with it, but just, you know, basically being a white, light floral with citruses. Got some woods in it, like this have some woods in it, like as it's drying down, it has this residual sweetness, and I'm going to guess attribute it to that once again, to maybe the citrus that's not, you know, overly projecting, but is still in, you know, the formula. Once again, I detect a little honeysuckle. It's definitely a little woody now at this point in time. You still get the aquatic feel or touches of it with the florals. But the more and more it dries down, it's like there's no musk listed in this fragrance, but it kind of is coming off a little musky, a little dry amber in here. So definitely woody, residual sweetness, floral is how I would, you know, specifically describe the dry down on this. And I know it hasn't dried down fully. Once again, this was my scent of the day, which is going to lead us into performance. Performance on here, once again, I applied this at 8:38. And I know that because I write down the times when I do apply it, and then I actually take notes hour by hour. this didn't become a skin scent on me. I'm like an actual skin scent, to where even when I would go like this, it wasn't wafting in the air, but I really had to put my nose onto it until about 6 o'clock. So from 8:38 this morning till 6 p.m., it was definitely, you know, even if it was, you know, the best projection of it and sillage came within that first hour. Well, first hour, hour and a half was the best, but it definitely didn't die down performance-wise until almost that 2:30, 3 o'clock hour. So once again, from 8:38 to 3 o'clock, it was still definitely, you know, giving you a good, you know, ambiance or a bubble around you. It wasn't until about that 4:15 time to where it really started dying down and just becoming, you know, if Leroy had the glow in The Last Dragon, it was like glowing around me. It wasn't wafting everywhere, but it was still kicking until about 6 or 6:30. And even when I started this video here, when I initially smelled my hand before I sprayed, you can still smell it. All I did was revive it. So with longevity, I'm going to say definitely 8 to 10 hours. Performance, like strong performance, or usable performance, I should say, that's about 6 to 7 hours before it falls off a cliff and becomes a skin scent. That's an A+. So, you know, just to wrap this up for Friday's female fragrance, Coach Signature. Will I continue to wear this in 2020, even though it was released in 2007? Undoubtedly yes, because until I get a bigger bottle of this Chanel's Gardenia, this will be anytime I want that vibe, but at a much, you know, cheaper price range, I will go with this. Some people may find this a little dated. However, I just believe, just due to the composition of the notes and what notes is being used, I don't feel like you can, an aquatic, fully a floral aquatic, you know, be too dated, for the fact there's no rose in here. It may smell, you know, old womanish for like the first 20 minutes, but once it dries down, it's like, I don't want to call it generic, but it nowadays is definitely like a generic floral aquatic. But if you do have this, ladies, or even gentlemen, if you have this, drop it down in the comments. I want to know, you know, how do you feel about it? Would you still rock it in 2020? Because I know I definitely will be, you know, after showers, and then definitely when, you know, it heats up springtime and summertime, I will be getting a little bit more wears out of this. So if you found, you know, the content interesting, informative, and entertaining, drop a like on this. Till the next time, let's grow and evolve together in this book of life turned to the page of styles. Y'all be blessed and walk in peace. Oh, I keep forgetting. Subscribe to the channel. It's free. And your friends gonna think you're a hater if you don't. 1.